right in through this little crack, up over these bigger rocks. A lot of riders fived it right here. And if you did make it through this part, one more set of very large rocks to go over, and then some smaller rocks to wiggle around in. Up and over these, and up to the exit. Jordy Terrace is the first rider we caught coming through here. And that was the hardest part of the section Jordy just came through. Real nice maneuvering for an outstanding clean. Some of the riders can't believe he did that. Spectators sure liked it though. Steve has a little bad luck there with a 5. A lot of the top riders fived it right on that part. It was very difficult getting through there. A lot of technique was required to get through there cleanly. Nice ride with a 1. Berlatier had a 2 and 2 5s. Gilberto had a 1, a 3, and a 5. Lejeune had a clean and 2 1s. Renales had a clean, a 1 and a 2. And Codina, a clean, a 1, and a clean. Nice ride from Donato. I think Diego missed his line by about 3 inches. Go back and check Donato's ride and notice his line through here. Section number 3 was shaped like a big U on a very steep hillside. Rode down the hill, made a right turn, and the hardest part of the section coming up here over these roots, which was on a very steep part of the hill, and then up and out of the exit. We're only going to get to watch one rider from inside the section here. The checkers, or markers as they call them over here, wouldn't allow any press people inside the section for any photography of any kind. So the next few riders we did from outside the section. And as you'll be able to see, it's more difficult to get good video if you're not right inside the section, pretty close to where the riders are. Most difficult part of the section coming up right here up over those roots. And here's where a lot of 5s were taken. We're just right outside of the section now. We got here before a lot of the spectators did, and this section really didn't have that much of a challenge except right on this one spot. So after a few riders, we moved on down to section number 4, which was a very good section. Jordy had a 1, a 3, and a 5. Diego Bozas had the only clean in this section, and he took that on the first ride. His second and third laps, he had a 1 and a 5. Three Michaud had a 1, 5, and a 3. Steve Saunders a 5 and 2 3s. Berlatier 5, a 2 and a 3. Gilberto 1 and 2 5s. Donato Meglio a 2 and 2 5s. And Eddie Lejeune at 2 3s and a 5. Section 4 was another rock-filled gully, only this one had a surprise at the end of it. Another downhill entry off of a bank, a right turn. And most of the riders took the line up over this rock rather than kind of squeeze between these two. And then just a series of loose rolly rocks here to ride over for a bit. Kind of a hard part coming up right here. A few little holes right here that were kind of hard to get through. And the section starts getting harder from this point on. It's real loose and rolly right here. Up right next to this tree. Up around this rock to your left here. Now up here you made a trick left turn and down into this area. It was about 2 bike lengths to go up this just about vertical wall to the exit. A lot of 5s taken here. This section was pretty long, so we shot a few of the lower class riders at the beginning part of this section just to kind of let you know what conditions were like on this part of it. As you can see, the difficult part right there, a lot of riders took points right in this area. There's a trick left turn to get set up for that ledge or wall. Most riders balanced here and hopped the back end over. Backed up all the way against the ribbon. And then probably second or third gear. Full throttle, slip the clutch and hopefully get up the wall to the exit. And that's how most of the riders got their 5s in this section. We moved up by the wall now to catch riders coming up this section now. Philippe Berladier does a good job on the trick left turn part of it there. And he elects to just blast straight ahead rather than maneuvering the bike and getting set up for the wall straight ahead. Kind of a little front wheel stopper up there. If you did get your back wheel up over that ledge, the front wheel was kind of up against a bunch of roots sticking out there, and that would just almost always stop the motorcycle and cause you to slide back down the wall back into the section. Most lower class riders who weren't real good at the trick turns use this approach to try to get straight up the ledge this way, and that just wasn't working at all. The best way is to trick turn the bike and maneuver it and then blast the wall straight ahead. Steve Saunders is making himself a bit of a line up the hill, and we'll see how Jordy does on this very difficult section. And you can see his front wheel got right up against those roots and just kind of pushed him back down into the section. Jordy has a little problem getting control of his back here, but he's all set now. Diego took a long time looking at this section, and we had to leave to beat the people before he finally rode it. Andrew Codina from Spain. On the factory new gas. He was one of the first top riders to set up his motorcycle like this. And I think it gave just a little bit more of an advantage for going straight up that wall. Nice right, he's scored a 2. England has a no backup rule, but that applies only for local events and not the world rounds. So when Steve rides his local events in England, he's not allowed to do any backing up, and as he was saying in an interview after the event, it's pretty difficult for him to ride the no backup rules and then all of a sudden come into a world round and be able to back up the bike and do all the maneuvering required. Steve's very good at it, and he does a good job. Nice ride with a 2. And Diego Bozas finally rode this thing. He cleaned it his first time through. On his second lap, he had a 3. On his third, he had a 1. Renato Chiaberto had a 1, a 3 and a 1. Eddie Lejeune had 2 5s and a 3. Watch Theory's left foot here. How many dabs did you count? That's Freddie Michaud coaching Theory. It's his helper rider today, as it has been in most of the events ridden this year. Nice ride. They gave him a 2. Everybody else thinks he should have had a 1. And the checker says, hey, I'm doing the scoring. There were only 2 cleans in this section all day. Diego had 1, and here's the other. Section 5 was not very difficult. There were only 2 spots in it that gave the riders any problems. Philippe Berladier had a 5 and 2 2s. Renato Chiaberto, a 1, a 3, and a 1. Donato Miglio had a clean and 2 3s. Eddie Lejeune had a few problems with it, though. He had 2 5s and a 3. And Gabino Renales had 2 3s and a 5. Jordy's about halfway through the section now. Starts further on down. It's fairly easy down there, just over a few rocks, and then up where Jordy is now, up on the bank and back down. A left turn right here. And up and over a fairly good-sized rock. Most of the riders got over that with no problem. Hard part coming up here now, though. Down this hill and over that rock. And there's another area right in here, right there, that's fairly difficult. A lot of the riders took points right in that spot. There were several different ways of going over this big rock here. Jordy hit it kind of straight on with a little bit more speed. Steve's going to kind of maneuver here, go over it real slow. Nice bit of skid plate work there from Steve. And Steve had 3 cleans on this section. Nice riding. His brother Freddie kind of telling him where all the other riders have gone. Watch how Diego maneuvers around this section boundary marker there that was just off to his left. Look at where it is now. Would you consider him to still be in the section or not? And right there is the next boundary marker for the left side of the section. A little different line to the exit, and he's out with a 1. Section 6 entered over this big flat rock, up around that tree, with a left turn back down the bank into this very rocky gully. A trick right turn was required there. That was a difficult part of the section also. Then you had to get set up to come back around this big one and up over some smaller rocks, then a few large ones, and then on up the gully. A lot of these rocks were just a little bit wet, And they were very slick also. This was the second most hardest section in the trials. This area right in here, as you can see, stopped a lot of riders. And the most difficult part of this section was getting set up to go over this big rock up to the exit. We got over here just in time to catch Jordy Terrace riding it. Jordy did some nice trick riding in this section. Gets a little off his line here, but they've already fived him for stopping with his foot down too long back by that boundary marker. Finds one of them slick rocks, and he's scored a 5. Steve's out with a 3. This wasn't Philippe Berlatier's favorite section, as he had 3 5s in it. Renato Chiaberto had a 3, a 2, and a 3. Eddie Lejeune, 3, 3, and a 2. Gabino Renales had 2 5s and a 3. And Andrew Codina had a 3 and 2 5s. Almost makes it out. He slid off that big rock and got wedged up against a tree for a 5. And some bad luck for Diego here. And his rear wheel bounces into a rock, and that knocked the chain off his rear sprocket. And he scored a 5. We're up by the exit now on our way over to the next section. Just to give you kind of a look here at the maneuvering that the riders had to do to get set up for the big exit rock, and why they were having so much of a problem with it. They'd slide off the top part of the rock right up into this tree. Section 7 entered down this hill. It's another right turn down at the bottom of this rocky gully. This one, however, was a little bit different. It was wet. Water was running down it, and the rocks here were extremely slick. This was the last section over in the first group of sections on this side of the mountain. As we progress through this section, the hardest part coming up right here up over these rocks to get up here on this kind of little plateau area. And once up here, a little bit of a left turn, then a right turn to straighten out for that rock straight up ahead. Most of the riders didn't have any problem getting over this rock. Once over this, over a few more small ones, up to the exit. Section 7 was about a 2-minute walk from section number 6. We got here just in time to catch Donato riding. Kind of a questionable call there, according to the spectators. The checker gave him a 5. And the spectators didn't care for that too much. They thought he should have had a 1. A bit of encouragement for Diego from the spectators. Pascal had some mechanical problems with his JCM today, and he did not finish the event. Nice ride from Diego with a clean. Anders Dahmer and his friend came down from Norway to ride this event. They had the only 2 Hondas that were entered. I talked to Anders after this event, and he said that he's never ridden in rocks this big before. They've only been riding for about a year, and he did make it through the first loop, and after that, he DNF'd. As you can hear, he's getting a lot of support from the crowd to try to help him through these sections. Incidentally, he 5'd every section on his first lap. But at least he tried. This was his first world round. Finland's number 1 rider, Peter John, now riding. Peter does some real good clutch work in this section. Jordi Terrace had 2 cleans and a 5. Thierry Michaud, a clean, a 3, and a clean. Steve Saunders with 2 cleans and a 5. Philippe Berladier, a 1, 3, and a 5. Renato Chiaberto, 1, 2 and a 5. Gabino Renales with a 5, 3 and a 5. And Andrew Codina, a 2, a clean and a 1. Amos Bilbao from Spain, up-and-coming young rider, has found himself a 5, and he had a 1 and a 5 his last 2 laps. Real nice trick ride there from Eddie Lejeune. On our way to the next group of sections, we came across this old castle somebody had made into a real neat home. We're walking along the Riders Loop now, about a 15-minute walk down to the next group of sections on the other side of the mountain. A good view of the pit area, looking down from the mountaintop. So far, Michaud's leading with 7 points, Cuberta with 8, Bozes with 11, Jordi Terrace, Eddie Lejeune, and Andrew Codina all tied at 12 each. Donato Miglio has 13, Steve Saunders with 15. And just down the hill now and into the trees, we come to our hardest section, number 14. Let's watch this unidentified rider through the first part of this section. And then we'll take a walk through it and point out the 2 hardest parts of this section. A little trick turn right here to get set up for this big rock that's going to be directly in front of him. You're looking at Gino Caprioli, the clerk of the course, or the trials master, who is responsible for this World Round event here in Italy. The entrance was a left turn, then back around some rocks to the right, and then down to get set up for this big rock wall, or step, or whatever. You can see how tall it is. A lot of 5s taken right here. If you did get over the rock, it was a left turn, and back down, and a right turn, and then back up the hill over this rock, which wasn't that much of a problem to get over for the riders that did make it up that far. But a real hard part coming up here is the exit. Kind of a big double-step rock ledge. We'll pick most of the riders up from this point. And Jordi gets up, but Jordi got up this rock all 3 times. One of the spectators just about gets in the way there. Makes it up that very loose hill and over that big rock there. A left turn back down. Now there was some trick turning required right here in this spot to get set up for that double step ledge there at the end. Another thing that made this section very difficult was a very loose surface. It was very difficult to find traction for acceleration up the hill. Nice ride from Jordi. He's out with a 3. Not quite hard enough. Andrew's going to run over a rock here with his back wheel in just a bit. Right there. I think that maybe caused him not to come on with his power quite as soon as he should have. And here he wisely decides not to try the last part. Then you cross it with 3.5s. Steve took a lot of time balanced here and getting set up for this ledge, so we just picked it up from right at this point. Nice try. Terry Michaud made it over this big rock the last 2 laps. And the second time through, he got hung up on the big rock at the end. Donato made it over this rock all 3 times. But he had a bit of a problem with the exit rock. Ooh, almost goes out of control. He had a good ride his second time through. He was the only rider to get through this section with a 2. Peter John from Finland had 3.5s. I will catch Diego's ride through this section. Well, they scored him a 1 on that so far. Diego made it over that entrance rock on all 3 rides also. Diego uses lots of clutch work here to try to get out of this section. He had all his 5s right here at the exit. Renato Chiaberto with 3.5s, all in that same spot. Eddie Lejeune with 3.5s. all in that same spot. Pascal Couturier only rode this section twice, 2 5s. Amos Bilbao, also with 3 5s. A rider usually looks like this when he's watching somebody else endo. Here, Thierry Girard from France has a front row seat as he watches Ralph Steinman from Germany as he doesn't quite make it out of section number 15. Tries to keep control of his motorcycle and finally comes back down the hill in slow motion. This was a nasty series of ledges to go up to get up this first part of the section, and Ralph wasn't the only one who came back down the hill, although his was probably the most spectacular. This was the third hardest section in the trials. It's Thierry's turn now. He's the number 2 rider from France, and he makes it up this very difficult pile of rocks for the entrance. This was a pretty long section, and it was fairly difficult to video. So we just did a couple of riders through here since we missed all the top riders anyway. Renato Chiaberto is going to ride it next. Jordy did pretty good on this section with 2 cleans and then a 5. Diego Bozas had a clean, a 5 and a 1. Michaud did the best with 2 1s and a clean. Steve Saunders a 3 and 2 1s. Orladier 1 5 and a 1. Nano Meglio had a 5 clean and a 1. Eddie Lejeune 2 1s and a 5. Gabino Renales with 3 5s. And Andrew Codina with a 2 and 2 5s. This section kind of snaked up and down this rocky hillside. And although we couldn't catch it, Thierry made one more turn at the bottom of the hill and went back up to the exit. We'll follow Renato all the way through this section this time. And then we'll show a few more riders before we go on to section number 8 for loop number 2. This was pretty tricky getting back down here. There's only about one line back down the hillside. And if you didn't follow that, you could get hung up on your skid plate and possibly end up coming down the hill. And he has a little bit of a problem with the off-camber exit, and they give him a 3 anyway. Here's a beta that's been trained to go after checkers. While we watch a few riders riding up to the top of this rock pile, I'll give you the results of the first loop. Thierry Michaud leads it with 15 points. Second, Terrace with 20. Third, Bozas with 23. Fourth, Chiaberto with 29. Fifth, Lejeune with 29. Sixth, Miglio with 30. Seventh, Codina with 35. Eighth, Franco with 36. Ninth, Saunders with 37. And 10th, Girard with 38. Here's Jordy scoping out section number 8 on his second lap. Sections 8 and 9 are continuous sections. There was a rest break right in the middle where the rider could stop but not get off his motorcycle and then ride section number 9. The hardest part of section number 8, which we're looking at now, was the last part of it, and we'll pick that part of it up. Andrew Codina gets through with a 3. Jordy had a few problems with this section. The hardest part is right up here in front of him. The rocks in section number 8 here were more of the big, flat, slick type rather than the small bowling ball type. Nice bit of trick riding from Jordy. Andrew's about to ride section number 9. It was just a short rocky gully. The hardest part was this big rock here at the entrance that the riders had to get over. Jordy's about to ride it next. Watch his technique going up over this entrance rock. It was a rather short section, but there were a lot of big rocks in it. Nice ride with a clean. Here's Thury on the last part of section number 8. And Thury has a few problems, and they fived him right there at that point. Diego Bozas had a 1, a 3, and a 5. Saunders had a 5, 3, and a clean. Berladier, 5, 3, and a 1. Chiaberto with 3 threes. Donato Miglio with a clean and 2 5s. And Eddie Lejeune had a 1, a 3, and a 5.
Vraiment là, ils vont monter au-dessus de la roche. Et puis ils repartent. Pas comme ça,
Eddie was receiving some last-minute advice from his dad here before he rode the section. And that's Louis Galaki's talking to now, his helper rider for the season. And Diego getting some advice from the Aprilia team leader before he rides the section. Notice Diego's clutch work as he rides through this section. Amos Bilbao discussing something with one of the spectators, and then decides to rearrange a few of the rocks in this section. And the checker says, "No, you got to have it on this side." Well, okay. Now we need a rider to test this and see if it's going to work okay. Well, the rock got moved, and Amos went back to ride the section anyway, even without the rock in there. And he uses a different rock to get up over the big one into the section. Amos had a 5 on his first and last ride in this section, and here he scored a 3. This is the top half of section number 13 we're looking at now. We'll catch a few riders from this spot and we'll move down toward the bottom. Most difficult part probably was right there coming through that area. And we'll take a look at that from a different angle here in a bit. And he's out with a 3. Gerard had a little problem with that ledge right there. We'll go take a look at here from a different angle now. Here's Diego at the entrance to the section. Might check his ride here. He takes a 1 right on that rock. And right up there is the area that Donato and Gerard had problems with. And Diego takes a little different line up around that ledge. Goes up on the bank and makes a turn, and we'll catch him coming back down into the section. And the official scorecard gave him a clean on this section. I guess they missed the one that he took down here by the entrance. Renato Chiaberto waiting to ride now. There were 4 cleans in this section. Jordy cleaned it his first time through. Larry Michaud cleaned it his first time through. And Diego was down for 2 cleans. Jordy had a 1 and a 5 at second and third loops. Larry Michaud had 2 1s. Steve Saunders a 5-1 and a 2. Berlatier 2 1s and a 3. Eddie Lejeune a 2 and 2 5s. And Gabino Morales and Andrew Codina each had 2 3s and a 5. The second loop scores had Jordy with 14, Saunders with 20, Bozes with 32, Michaud with 33, Gerard with 33, Miglio with 35, Franco with 39, and Berlatier with 39. So now leading the event, we have Jordy Terrace first with 34, second Michaud with 48, third Bozes with 55, fourth Saunders with 57, Miglio with 65, Gilberto with 66, 7th Lejeune with 70, 8th Gerard with 71, 9th Franco with 75, and 10th Codina with 76. Nice ride with the clean. Jordy Terrace and Donato Miglio were the only 2 riders to clean this section all 3 rides. Diego Bozes had 2 cleans and a 1. Berlatier had 2 1s and a clean. Gilberto had a 1 and 2 cleans. Andrew Codina gets off his line just a bit there. Eddie Lejeune had a clean, a 2 and a clean. And Gabino Renales, 2 cleans and a 2. And the last rider we'll catch through here, Steve Saunders. From out of the left cockpit window of a Boeing 747, we have a good view of Mont Blanc as it sticks up through the clouds. We're passing right over the Swiss Alps now, about 110 miles to the northwest of Milan, Italy. Andrew Codina is now entering the easiest section here. Another little waterfall section. And this was the hardest part right here. It was a little slick at the start of the trials, but as more riders rode it, it became easier to get up it. We're standing at the top of the waterfall now. This was kind of a long section. It followed the stream of water as it made a few turns, and then the exit was up kind of a slick bank. Most of the top riders didn't have any problem with this section. Michaud, Berladier, Gilberto, and Meglio all cleaned the section each time they rode it. Diego Bozas had a bit of a problem. He had a 1, a clean and a 1. Eddie Lejeune and Gabino Renales each had a 1. Good ride from Daniel Crossan. He had 3 cleans on it. Nice trick turn from Jordy. He's out with a clean. We're looking at the entrance to section number 12 now, which was the 7th hardest section. There was a lot of loose dirt in this section, and also a lot of tree roots that the riders had to ride over and around. And there are also lots of real big rocks, like you see there. Miroslav Lisi from Czechoslovakia, riding the only Jawa entered in the event. The hard part of the section right here, getting around these tree roots and making the right turn to come back down for the rest of the section. A lot of 5s were taken right here. Daniel Crosset from Belgium is riding next. He had a 5 and a 3 on his first 2 rides. Another hard part of the section right here, getting over that rock and up this ledge, and then it was a real tight right, and you almost had to make this a trick turn to the exit, and they scored Daniel a 5. Nice ride from Jordy with a clean. Larry Michaud had a clean and 2 ones. Steve Saunders with a 5, a 1, and a 2. Eddie does a real good job on this trick turn that's required right here on this corner to get set up for that little ledge in front of him. There are 6 cleans in this section. Jordy had 2 of them. Diego Bozas had 2. Renato Miglo had 1. And Thierry Gerard had 1. This is David Marshy from Italy, the other Aprilia team rider. He placed 14th in this event, and he had a 2, a 3, and a 5. Nice ride from Diego with a clean. Donato Miglio riding next. He's really riding smooth this year. He's really improved. He's gotten a lot better on his clutch work. His trick riding has also improved greatly. Just generally a real smooth rider. He's doing a really good job on this Fanick this year. And the last rider of the trials, Renato Chiaberto. This rig belongs to Marcus Kipp, a rider from Germany. We're on our way back to the headquarters now to check out the final results of this event. We'll show you a few of the scenes around the area here as you read the results on your screen. And now on for a quick look at the award ceremony.
Penalità, Diego Bosis, Aprilia, Italia. Procediamo con le premiazioni fino al 15°.